Department will be releasing this year's matric results on the 18th and the 19th of January. This as other pupils prepare to return to school for the new academic year. Let's discuss the sector's state of readiness with Basic Education Department spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga. Elijah, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on. Is this not cutting it short, I suppose, to release those results just before the schools reopen, or even as they are reopening for others?
Good evening, Tavo. Well, not really. The current cohort of grade 12s and all other learners will be continuing with the business of learning for this year, while the 2023 class will be going to the schools where they set for the exams to collect their statement of results and leave immediately after that. So there shouldn't be a conflict there. It's something that school principals have been expecting. Because we made them aware of that it's going to take place again in 2024.
Now, what do you look at when you are looking at the readiness to go back to school as a department?
Well, we're looking at a whole range of things. The first one is whether a school has made arrangements for supplies for the school nutrition program to happen from tomorrow in terms of deliveries and supplies, and food handlers are coming through so that they are ready for feeding when the one comes on Wednesday. Every school should have that in place. That's the first thing. Secondly, teachers would already have been there for 2 days when learners come on Wednesday. They would prepare every classroom, making sure that the timetable is ready. They know who's starting the first period and how the timetable for this week is going to run. So curriculum management, that's the second one. But also just the general physical environment, whether it's conducive for learning, and for staff, the offices, whether they're clean and whether the material that they need for doing business is available. But all those things would have been delivered from last year already. So it's really those basic things. And to give learners their books, stationery. We've seen some schools in other parts of the country already. This was done last week, because those schools wanted to get going when the program starts on Wednesday. So, yeah, that's among other things what we're looking for.
All right. Let's stay with the timetable. There are some significant changes post-COVID-19, particularly to the length at which holidays are going to be distributed in the year 2024. Take us through the rationale of that.
Well, every year, the committee that drafts the school calendars, we sit down to look at the calendar for the next 3 years. Remember, what we do is that the calendar for 2024 was published in 2022, and already the calendar for 2026, the draft is available. So we work at least 2 to 3 years in advance in terms of the school calendar. We look into the future and we plan like that. Of course, COVID caused a lot of disruptions in 2020, but we have not changed the way we do business. So every consideration for 2024 would have been done 2 years ago already. This year, we have a single calendar, unlike last year and the year before, when we had a staggered calendar. That means coastal provinces opening later than the inland provinces. As this year, everyone is opening at the same time. That's why from today, you should see an increase in the traffic with people returning to their homes, and tomorrow and perhaps Tuesday as well, people going back because their children need to go back to school. But we should also see the level of activity in our district offices and some schools where parents are still trying to finalize their admission arrangements with the different places.
Some new subjects also expected in the year 2024, including the rollout for coding and robotics. Is the department ready for that in terms of your annual performance and what you've set for yourself?
Yeah, we're ready for that. Remember, in fact, where we are now, we are approaching March, which is the end of the current financial year. So we are right at the end of the financial year. But in terms of rolling out robotics and coding, that is not going to happen as planned, because it's a new subject with some technical complex issues that we needed to attend to in terms of the readiness for schools to roll it out. So we are finalizing that, because we also needed to take that to Umalusi for approval and making sure that we're ready in every aspect of that. But we have been introducing new subjects from 2017. We're reaching about 30 now, 34 of those new subjects. If you look at the timetable today and the timetable of 6-7 years ago, it's not the same anymore. There are new subjects. We're tracking the intake and the interest levels for those subjects by learners, which means the conversations need to take place at home between children and their parents and caregivers to make sure that we open our minds to the new possibilities and new opportunities that are there for us to be able to explore new things that are there in the curriculum, which we are expanding. So we continue to roll those out, but you also don't want to rush it because you plan for it in the annual performance plan. You need to make sure that you're ready so that when you implement, you don't want to undo it. You need to go slowly. The sector is huge. So whatever that you do needs to be carefully considered.
So when are you now expecting a full-scale implementation of the coding and robotics curriculum for all the grades?
It will be next year because the plan was for this year, but now we're just ironing out a few things. But we continue with the piloting. We have learned some very good lessons, also in terms of putting it into the timetable, because those are some of the issues that we've had to discuss, to say if it's going into the timetable, which subject is it replacing, or how are we squeezing it into the timetable, but also the training of teachers and the resourcing of schools for them to be able to avail these when learners need them. So, yeah, it's those practical things that we've had to deal with.
Where are you now as a department in terms of your thinking around these reports that keep emerging around ability to read with comprehension, especially at the early stages of learning? The minister at some point saying, well, parents need to stop buying iPhones and things for their kids and maybe buy them books so that they can begin to read at home.
Yeah, she's right. It cannot be an activity of the school only. Reading should be an activity that takes place everywhere we go. If you look at what is happening in other countries, people are reading wherever they are, in public transport and in public spaces as well. That's the same culture that we need to inculcate in this country, that public libraries are fully opened and operational in every municipality. Community libraries as well must be fully operational, but also in schools. We need to make sure that those reading spaces are fully functional, librarians trained, reading material available, and the timetable should also cater for that. Last year we had a reading literacy summit where we invited all stakeholders that are involved in reading, and we discussed all these matters from every angle. After that, the DG went out to engage each province, each district, with all school principals to tell them that they needed to embrace and appreciate the reading as an activity, one, for learning, but two, just for enjoyment, because learning takes place through reading. You need to develop a deep interest in the written word. Learners need to interact with the written text so that they can increase their understanding of the concepts that they will come across in school. So that's something that we are working, but we need to mobilize everyone, every organization, whether you're media or not. You need to have a box at the reception for people to donate books so that those books can be donated to different places so that we gift each other with these things. Coming back to the point you're making about what the minister said.
Elijah Mhlanga, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on.